Today, we're digging into a really fascinating strategy from Morocco. It tackles a massive source of energy use, one that's often hiding in plain sight, our buildings. So let's get right into it. First, let me ask you something. When you think about where a country's energy goes, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Big factories? Miles of traffic? What about the very walls around you right now? Well, it might surprise you, but in Morocco, the building sector, that's our homes, our offices, everything combined, eats up a full 25% of the entire country's energy. That is a huge slice of the pie, which makes it an absolutely critical target for any real efficiency plan. So, with a quarter of all energy on the line, you can see the scale of the challenge. Let's start by unpacking the energy that's literally hidden right inside our walls. And this problem isn't standing still. It's getting bigger. Morocco's in the middle of a building boom, people are earning more, and that means more new construction and a lot more energy-hungry appliances like air conditioners. This created a real sense of urgency for a smart national strategy. So how'd they tackle it? Well, Morocco came up with this really clever two-part blueprint. It's designed to handle energy use in buildings that don't even exist yet, and in the ones that are already standing. The easiest way to think about it is like healthcare. The first part is preventative care for all new buildings, making sure they're efficient from day one. The second part is like regular checkups for big, existing buildings to find and fix any energy waste. It's a really smart way to cover all your bases. All right, let's dive into that first part of the plan, the preventative care for new buildings. This is all about getting the design right before a single brick is even laid. Right off the bat, they did something brilliant. They recognized that a one-size-fits-all approach just wasn't going to work. So they mapped the entire country into 6 distinct climate zones, from the cool coasts of Tangier to the scorching hot deserts. This meant the building rules could be tailored perfectly to the local weather. Now, the regulations really zero in on one key idea, the thermal envelope. That sounds technical, but it's simple. It's just the building's skin, its walls, roof, windows. It's the barrier that keeps you cool in the summer and warm in the winter. The better the envelope, the less energy you need to stay comfortable. What's really cool is how flexible the system is. Architects basically get 2 paths to compliance. They can go the performance-based route, which is like an energy budget they have to stay under. That gives them a ton of creative freedom. Or they can take the simpler, prescriptive path, which is just a clear checklist of rules to follow. Okay, so that handles all the new stuff. But what about the thousands of offices, hotels, and hospitals that are already built and guzzling energy every single day? Well, that brings us to the second part of Morocco's blueprint. This is the regular checkup I was talking about. It's a mandatory energy audit, and it's aimed squarely at the country's biggest existing energy hogs. The law is super specific about who's on the hook for this. It targets big industrial companies and, crucially, businesses like large offices or hotels using more than 500 tons of oil equivalent a year. Just to put that number in perspective for you, that's about how much energy a really big hotel or commercial building uses in a year. It's a lot. And the process itself, it's pretty straightforward. First, a certified expert comes in and analyzes the building's energy use. Then, they send a report with all their findings to the National Energy Agency. And here's the kicker. The company is then legally required to actually implement those changes to become more efficient. Okay, so all these rules and audits, they sound great on paper. But here's the million-dollar question. Do they actually work in the real world? Let's take a look at the results. The results are, frankly, staggering. Just look at this example of a new residential building. Before these regulations, its energy needs for heating and cooling were way up here. But after putting the new standards in place, look at that drop. Its energy needs were basically cut in half. The difference is just, wow. And that's not a one-off. Across the board, new homes built to these new standards need somewhere between 39 and 64% less energy for heating and cooling. That is a massive drop in energy use and a huge win for the homeowner's wallet. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. This sounds expensive. Surely building a more efficient home costs more upfront, right? And, well, yes, there's a small extra investment for things like better insulation. But that's not where the story ends. Because the energy savings are so huge, the payback period for that little extra cost is just 2 to 7 years. And after that, it is pure savings, year after year for the entire life of the building. It's a total financial no-brainer. So the bottom line is clear. You make a small investment at the start, and in return, you get decades of lower energy bills. And let's not forget the other big benefit. You just get to live in a more comfortable home, one that's naturally cooler when it's hot and warmer when it's cold. So, let's pull back for a second. Morocco's strategy is obviously having a huge impact there. But what does this all mean in the bigger picture? By tackling both new buildings with preventative rules and old buildings with mandatory checkups, Morocco has created one of the most complete green building plans out there. And it really makes you wonder, is this two-part blueprint, this idea of prevent and treat, a model that other countries should be looking at for their own sustainable future?